Okay, so joining us now is Republican Congressman Tom Garrett of Virginia, who's also a member of the House Homeland Security and Foreign Affairs Committees. Congressman, good to see you tonight.
Eric, my pleasure.
You know what the critics are saying about this memo? You know, that many Democrats are saying it's a hit job, it's slanted, it's riddled with omissions, and only supports the Republican narrative. So how would you respond to all that?
Well, it's a hit job when we completely disregard the 4th and 5th and 14th Amendments' rights to privacy and due process to weaponize the federal government against American citizens. And I think it's interesting, Congressman Smith's wording did not have hardly anything to do with, which concedes that it did have something to do with the FISA memo. And if I can be a nerd for a moment, Eric, if you know Delaware v. Franks, this would be admissible in a court of law. Because they were dishonest with the tribunal, the court. So they were obviously wanting information in a hurry without regard to its use in a criminal court, which really adds more questions.
So can you describe and explain Delaware versus Franks and how that impacts the agents and the officials who brought that to the FISA court?
Right. So the FISA court has to review the information presented to it by those seeking the warrant. Those seeking the warrant have a duty of candor before the tribunal. I'm talking lawyer here. I was a prosecutor for a while. And that means they have to disclose all information that's relevant and pertinent. They absolutely, positively did not do that. And whether you're going to get probable cause or not might hinge on whether or not someone might have had a motive to be less than honest, which obviously Mr. Steele did on multiple levels. 2 different paychecks and an animus towards particular American individuals. And so I think the real story here, and I want to set aside my partisan hat, is the weaponization of the federal government against its citizenry. And we've seen this time and again, whether it's the IRS, whether it's FISA surveillance of Americans that we know about from sources like the Washington Post and the New York Times that's occurred previously. And that's what all Americans, regardless of their political affiliation, should be afraid of.
And when you say all information, clearly you're referring to the fact that there were the paychecks from the Clinton campaign and DNC, supposedly, as well as, I mean, earlier, the information from the Washington Free Beacon.
Sure, and then the leak to Yahoo by Steele. And I'll tell you that I've not only read the Republican memo, but also the Democrat memo. And candidly, while I can't discuss its contents, I'm convinced that they don't want it to be releasable by virtue of things in it that couldn't be disclosed by virtue of compromising sources and methods.
They don't want the Democratic memo released?
I think they're going to make a big to-do about the fact that their memo is not getting out, having written a memo that they know can't possibly get out because it would absolutely compromise sources, tactics, and et cetera in the national security realm. And they're playing political games with this because they've been caught with their proverbial hand in the cookie jar.
So you don't think we're going to actually see it? Or can they just redact sources and methods?
They'd have to redact significant portions, again, without getting into the contents.
And you just talked about Steele and getting paid. Let me read you one part of the memo. It says, quote, the report. The Carter-Page FISA application, also cited extensively a September 23rd, 2016 Yahoo News article. Steele has admitted in British court filings he met with Yahoo News and several other outlets. Steele improperly concealed from and lied to the FBI about those contacts. Steele had become a less than reliable source for the FBI. So in other words, Congressman, as a prosecutor, what you're saying is that it was the duty, an incumbent and a mandate upon the officials to reveal that to the court and reveal the payments, reveal that it was talking to the news media. And is it appropriate for the federal government to use, a news report that's not done under oath for something as serious as a FISA application?
Well, in practice law in any one of the 50 states, you have to take a professional responsibility exam. And everybody knows you can't withhold information from the court. And having said that, I'm waiting for the charges against Steele for lying to federal agents because that's a criminal charge in and of itself. It seems like that's completed. I guess I won't hold my breath, but at the end of the day, again, the thing that scares me, removing the partisanship, is that we see government leveraged against private citizens and counter to our 4th Amendment rights to privacy and our 5th and 14th Amendment rights to due process, and that's what should scare every American.
Carter Page has been saying exactly that for months. Here's Carter Page 10 months ago in April of last year speaking to us here at Fox News. Take a listen.
There is no basis. I'm a loyal American, and I served my country in the military, and I was an Eagle Scout growing up, Catholic school altar boy, so I've done nothing wrong. Maybe I got a speeding tickets along the way, but I've never done anything illegal. So for them to come after me, if this is in fact the case, would be quite an astonishing revelation.
For them to come after me would be quite an astonishing revelation. Your reaction?
Well, look, I mean, I think Jeff Sessions was at an event at the RNC where there were Russians present that were approved to be there by no less than the Obama administration. And then they said, look, you met with Russians, right? So it's almost like a sort of game of gotcha. I'll tell you that on the Foreign Affairs Committee, I've sat down and met with some pretty unsavory characters. It's sometimes part of doing the job. You don't get to pick the people who are relevant in the world. So there's that. Obviously, though, I think one side's quick to play with convenient facts and disregard others.
All right, Congressman Tom Garrett, thank you. We'll see if indeed the Democrats do or do not get that other report out their own the next couple of weeks.
Have a great